The No Nonsense Roundtable. It's a weekly show broadcast on Rochester, New York's 50,000-watt iHeart radio station, News Radio Wham 1180. The host, Dom Geneva, interviews guests from all walks of life, all with amazing stories to tell. What you are about to hear is a recording of a previous broadcast without the breaks and commercials. Now, here's host Dom Geneva.
Well, welcome everybody to another edition of the No Nonsense Roundtable. We're here today with Mr. Jim Vanbrederode for probably, I think, about the third time, Mr. Brederode?
It is. Hard to believe.
And how can I best describe you? You are a fan favorite. People love listening to you. Former Gates Police Chief, former president of the Monroe County Police Chiefs Association, obviously, starting off after that to maybe pursue a political career, running for office or whatever. Former candidate, and at that, welcome to the show, and a musician.
Yes, we're very proud. This is our 25th anniversary of a police bagpipe band that we started back in 1998, myself and a couple other officers, and we are now at the 25th year anniversary mark. We're doing a history book on the band, and it's all about just ordinary people doing extraordinary things, giving back to the community is what this band is about.
Amen. Yeah, and so for anybody who is interested, we'll get into the politics and the crime rate and
yes.
and all the things that are happening. Yeah, that might not be as pleasant as the bagpipe thing, but we're gonna spend some time on the bagpipe thing. So you've been doing this for how long, and how many guys are in it, and what do you do?
Yeah, so it was around 1996. I was a young policeman in the town of Gates. We went down to Utica. An officer was killed in the line of duty tragically, and but it has a lot of relevance because we saw yesterday a trooper just happened to shoot a person with a knife yesterday. Mm-hmm. So anyway, this Utica policeman was trying to de-escalate this woman who had a knife and was threatening suicide, and she got the best of him, and she struck first and got him in the neck, and he bled out and died. But it shows how dangerous knife calls are. And when people say, why did we shoot a 17-year-old yesterday? Sometimes it's just the reality of it all. But they're very deadly instruments on life like that. But anyway, we went to the funeral down in Utica, and they brought up the New York City Police Bagpipe Band to perform at this funeral and pay that respect. And where do the bagpipes come from with the police and fire? Well, back in the day, when the Irish immigrated over here, they took those jobs that nobody else wanted, those public service jobs, the environmental concert, the DPW, the mm-hmm. police, the firemen. And so with them came the tradition of when one of their own passed away, got married, was to have the bagpipes there at those celebrations. And so that's how the bagpipes became connected with the police and fire service. So again, back in going down to that funeral, we saw this NYPD band come up here, and it was just so impressive that our hour and a half drive home, that's all we talked about. And there was like three of us in the car. I had played an instrument in high school back in the day. It wasn't very good. Another guy in the car used to play the drums, and so we said, we have got to figure out how to do this. How do we do this? So, we came back to Rochester, and we literally started on our own to try to figure out how to play this instrument, get lessons.
Where do you go for bagpipe lessons? I mean, that sounds like something really kind of narrow in scope.
It is. And so, I found someone from the Rochester Scottish Pipe Band. The guy was in his 70s, and I used to go to his house, and up to the attic we would go because that's where his wife made us go. And that's how I got lessons, and I got started. And then I subsequently went back and started training others. And so today we're sitting here at 25 years. We've been all over the country. We got 50 members in the band. And it really became something that we never thought it was going to get this big and exciting. But
I guess I'm just in such a silly mood right now. That I'm thinking about this is that people complain about their kids or whatever. They're playing the piano, it sounds really bad, or they're playing they're playing the trombone, and it's terrible. Starting out playing a bagpipes, that's got to be the worst thing going. You sound like you're choking some waterfowl or something.
It gets the geese to come. It's ugly. Yeah, and then
I can believe that. I really can. Yeah.
then you got to figure out where to do this, right? I mean, you can't just do this with the neighborhood listening, or you got to go out to a park somewhere or in some building where no one's around to try to figure this out.
All right, more silly question. Maybe, I don't, maybe not silly question, but how does the darn thing work? I mean, you're blowing into it, but that's not creating the music. You're just keeping the thing full of air, and then I mean, how many reeds are on the darn thing or whatever?
Yeah, so think of it like an air compressor, right? You know, that air compressor.
Yeah.
You're filling up the tire, then you hear it kick in again, right?
Yeah.
It's filling up that tank again.
Yeah.
It's all about maintaining that air pressure. And then you got 3 drones that create that chord in the background that it doesn't change at all. And there's a reed in each one of those. And then your chanter is where you actually play the tune from. And it's kind of like that recorder that we all had in 2nd and 3rd grade. It only has 9 notes, so there's a lot of tunes you can't play because you don't have that range. There's no sharps, there's no flats, no volume control. So I thought, well, this can't be that hard, right? I mean, all those things.
What could go wrong?
Yeah, right. And then it's just about, again, getting the breathing down and getting your fingers to move up and down that chanter. And that's what adds to that music, is when your fingers can really move up and down that chanter.
Well, you say you started with 3 guys and you end up with how many now?
Oh, we're up to like 55, 60.
Oh!
Yeah, it's really taken off. And, there was a big void in Rochester for bagpipe. It was like one or 2 bands in town. That was it. The Scottish pipe band, and there was a competition band. So the community, once we started getting out there and getting exposure, first it was 5, 6, 7 of us. We started doing some parades. Actually, did the parades to make money. The fire departments would pay us, and that's where we started getting a lot of exposure, and people were really interested in wanting to help or get lessons. And so we just welcomed the community, and it really became a great community project for the police department. To bring in all these civilians, and they enjoyed being with the cops and playing with us, and so now we have 50, 55 members, and I'll bet you 25% of them are cops and firemen. The rest of them are all just people from the community. And it's been a wonderful way to fill that gap with the community and those public relations that we have.
So 55, I mean, the geography on that's got to be pretty substantial. Who lives the furthest from Rochester?
Well, we got a guy up here in Rush, believe it or not.
Oh, okay.
He lives up here in the hills of Rush.
So you got 55 people in the greater Rochester area?
Yeah, we do. Yeah, most everybody's
to me.
from here. But I think Canandaigua was probably the furthest away.
That's really amazing to me to have that many people. Now, what's the most people you ever played at a venue? What's the biggest venue you ever played?
Yeah, so we really have been all over the country with this. Cleveland was really probably the highlight, the public auditorium in Cleveland, downtown Cleveland. There was an annual bagpipe tattoo, where the bands get together and each band goes out for 10 minutes, plays on the floor there. But it really has become exhilarating. Some of these big events that we've played at. But I got to tell you, even just these recent line of duty funerals that we've had between Officer Mazurkowitz and Pearson have drawn thousands of people. And I got to be honest with you, it's nerve-wracking, no doubt about it.
Well, the thing about bagpipes, when you're at a St. Paddy's Day parade, or you hear you guys, it can give you goosebumps.
It does.
There's something about it,
Yeah, it's a very ceremonial instrument.
Yeah.
And so now we do a lot of great ceremonies. We did the Veterans Outreach Center, their big gala the other night, and the Veterans Parade, and we're going to Camp Good Days this weekend to go play. But it's a very ceremonial, and it really adds to your event. And so we've done a lot of cool things.
Plus, you get to wear a dress.
Absolutely.
So we're going to talk about that.
It's a skirt.
Skirt. Okay. Yeah. Okay. We're going to talk about that when we come back from the break, which is coming up right now. Well, welcome back. We're talking to Mr. Jim Vanbrederode, policeman, police officer, police chief.
Bagpiper.
Yes, musician. And so here's the question. Everybody wants to know, when you are wearing your kilt, is there anything underneath it? Or traditional? I know, I could tell, that there's something underneath it. But traditionally, did the guys years ago wear anything underneath that or not?
Well, first of all, you are right. I don't care where we are. I've actually been at funerals before, and I've had people come up. That question is brought up. It's like every day, and some of the most unusual people. A lot of females will come up. What do you wear under that kilt? And then so you had to come up with some good answers.
So you got to ask them what they wear under.
Yes.
Just turn the tables on them, Jim. That's all.
Exactly, right? And so one of the greatest answers.
They'd slap you though.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
As is all, we're very regimental. You figure out what that means.
Okay,
Right. But look I remember this one parade we would do annually. This lady would, when she see the band coming, she would lay on a skateboard and push herself out into the street. So we would have to step over her. It was, the things that people do. Yeah. Put the mirror on the shoe. We've seen it all, done it all, heard it all.
Yeah.
But
now I know you do things solo, and what is like the best combination, the best number of people together that you think that is most effective with is it 2, 3, 5, 10 people? I think when you get you don't have 55 people all together at the same time. What do you think?
Good. Look at it all depends on the venue. Like I got to be honest with you, St. Patrick's Day Parade is by far Rochester's biggest. There could be 40,000 people, and when it's 65 degrees out, there could be literally 100,000 people lining Main Street, East Avenue. And that's when you want 55 people out there. Mm-hmm. That's when you want the whole thing, because it'll just drive the crowd crazy. A lot of these private funerals, a lot of these funerals, just one bagpiper's enough.
Amazing Grace has got to be.
That's like
on the bagpipes got to be beautiful.
Weddings, funerals, that's like everywhere. But and that's what's fun about a bagpipe, unlike a trumpet or any other instrument. You literally, one person can entertain a crowd pretty good with a set of bagpipes. You can entertain a crowd. And the other thing with bagpipes, I can put your emotions in my hand, right? 1 minute I can get you feeling all oozy and goosebumpy to play something like the Notre Dame fight song, or something upbeat like that, Scotland the Brave, and make people happy. And that's what's kind of cool about that instrument. I literally can bring you from tears to having fun and a good time. And speaking of that, the Christmas season is coming upon us, and Santa Claus is coming to Rochester, and very shortly we will be going around to one of the malls in our area here, parading Santa around the mall. So we do it all. We get calls from the North Pole to different funeral homes right here in Rochester, to every police department we service here in Monroe County.
And that brings us to what's happening on Monday the 4th, 7 o'clock at Fanatics Pub in Lima. We're having the No Nonsense Roundtable Christmas Variety Show. Think about this as sort of like a Ed Sullivan thing. We have a bunch of different acts, and one of the acts is going to be you.
We're going to do it. You know what? There are some great Christmas tunes that fit the bagpipes just right. I won't bring the geese in, and I won't scare the reindeer away. I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a great night. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to have a lot of laughs. And
it is. It's going to be. Trust me, everybody. It's going to be a lot of laughs. The money goes for a good cause. Every dollar of the ticket price is going to go to the Rochester Rotary Sunshine Camp or the Ronald McDonald House Charities of Rochester. The place holds about 100 people, but you can get there early, get a little pub food, have something to drink, and then at 7 o'clock we have our variety show, and there are two of them. There's one on the 4th, which is coming up, and there's one on the 11th, and the charities are going to get the money split between them, and we're going to have lots of different things. We have performances, we have comedy performances, we have Brian Gear coming in doing some magic, we have James Gilbert from Channel 8 coming in to do a little quiz about the weather. We'll give out some prizes. We'll have some fun. We'll have some drinks, and there's still tickets. And if you want to get a ticket, you go to nononsenseroundtable.com and just click on buy tickets. They're only $25, and
very reasonable.
Money goes to a good place. And there's nothing that says Christmas any better than bagpipe music
and the weatherman. Okay.
and the weatherman. Of course, Santa is going to be there, and we have. The other thing is we have the Middle Finger Lake arts players. I discovered this town that was in the crook of Keuka Lake, and it's called Middle Finger Lake. And Middle Finger Lake. The theme of Middle Finger Lake is where life is perfect, but could always be better. So I'll give the history of Middle Finger Lake and how Middle Finger Lake got to be got to be in existence.
Interesting.
So, yes. It's a very, very interesting story. These people got in a boat sometime in the 1800s in Europe, and the name of the boat was the Agita.
Wow.
So, they should have known.
Yeah.
They should have known from the beginning that getting on a boat called the Agita was not the thing to do. So let's talk a little bit more about what you're doing with the bagpipes.
Yeah. So look, if you want to see more or learn more about us, we do have a Facebook page, the Gates Keystone Club, Police, Pipes, and Drums. You can see a lot of these events that we have there, and the photos are fascinating. But more importantly, we are doing a 25-year history book. And we're looking for some sponsors to help pay for that book, some ads. And if you go to our Facebook page there, we would be very happy if people could take an ad out. You can get your loved one's name put in the book or something like that as a memory or a corporate sponsor. So, but you know what? I just to give you an idea of what we do. In the past week, we have been so busy just in the past week doing we do a lot of stuff for the military too. Every person who's killed in action here in Rochester, ultimately, when they come home, we're usually at the airport. We play as the body's being taken off the airplane, as well as doing the ceremony. We were just down in Shortsville back in August. A young soldier was killed tragically in a training accident. But the military is very dear to our hearts as well. And we did at least 2 funerals this week for different law enforcement agencies who lost somebody, unfortunately, to cancer. And but we're very busy. And all we're doing is we're out in the community, giving back to the community. We don't get paid for most of this stuff. It's just giving back, making this place this world a better place to live in.
Oh yeah.
And if everyone would just do a little bit to help somebody, that's all we're doing. We're just doing.
Oh yeah,
good things.
Yeah, you just try to leave the. I gave a talk at RIT the other day to a group of people at the Saunders School of Business, young people, and I said, if you just leave the place a little better than the way you found it, then you found a meaning of life. If you believe in God, or you don't believe in God, whatever. There's a meaning for your life because you're just pushing the ball a little further ahead
for the next one.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, and that's it. You're standing on somebody else's shoulders. Now, you say most of the stuff. Now, if somebody had a wedding or an event like that, do you do paid gigs?
Yeah, you can.
You can make a contribution. It's probably you probably have a 501c3, right?
We do, and
so when you do something like that, it would be tax deductible, I would think, right?
Yes, we do a lot of weddings and funerals, private stuff like that. And again, you can reach me on my cell phone 585-281-8440. Or just go to our Facebook page, Gates Keystone Club, Police, Pipes, and Drums, and contact us that way.
Okay, so we're about ready to head into another break. And when we come back from this news break, now we're going to be talking about I'm just going to let you loose.
Unleashed.
And unleashed, yes. And now that you are not employed in the law enforcement business or running for office, you can say, well, whatever you want.
Absolutely.
Okay. Well, right back, right after this. Well, we're back talking to Mr. Jim Vanbrederode, who I would say, this shows people you want to know more about and people you don't know. I don't think anybody doesn't know you.
Yeah, I've developed quite a footprint, 37 years in law enforcement. But I also, I'm very compassionate about what my role was as a policeman and then as a police chief. And so I was always in communicating with the community, getting my message out as often as I could.
Yeah, and I think the thing is now that you're retired and you're not in an official capacity, I think I would suspect you're a little freer to say some things that maybe you might have been not afraid, but hesitant about saying when you were a paid law enforcement official. And seriously, I mean, in all seriousness, I'd like to hear some of that no nonsense stuff that kind of is your way.
So you got to understand where I'm coming from, right?
Right.
37 years. I came to work every day. I was 21 years old, and I left around 58, 59 years old. I spent 37 years protecting people from bad people, keeping our neighborhoods safe, finding justice when something did happen. That was the whole drive for 37 years, making sure your family and my family was safe and that we kept the bad people away from us so that we weren't victimized. And and now I look at what's happened to the criminal justice system and what has happened to law enforcement. It's just heartbreaking, and more importantly, what's happening to the community. So here I am, right? I am not running for office. I am not here to be a policeman anymore, but I am unleashed, and I am ready to be an activist or the voice for victims and for the honest citizen who's being victimized by what's going on. And let's talk about two recent cases right here that were it's so heartbreaking for me to sit back and keep my mouth shut. In the town of Gates, and that's my old town. I'm passionate. On September 30th, this woman is leaving her business. She owns a business in the town of Gates. We love our business owners. We want people to have businesses. She comes out into the parking lot at 5 o'clock on a Saturday, and a former employee is waiting for her with a shotgun, and he guns her down. And what's disturbing is you find out the guy who did this was on parole for a murder, and he had done another murder before that one where he was acquitted. So here's a person that was just so dangerous, and as a police chief, that should never have happened, right? Mm-hmm. And it never did back when we had a real parole system. If you were 5 minutes late on your curfew, or you tested positive for drugs, boy, you were brought in. And if you did that again, you were gone. You were right back in the state prison. Mm-hmm. You had to toe the line when you were on parole. And we wanted you to toe the line. We don't want you going back to that lifestyle. We don't want you making those poor choices. That's why we have curfews and all that. And don't test positive for drugs, and we don't want you hanging out with fellow felons. And all that was taken away. And so we got all these people that are on parole right now. Once you're on parole, you're pretty much guaranteed you're not going back unless you do something like this, commit a murder. So here's this poor citizen, Chili resident, Gates business owner, loses her life because of this craziness that's coming out of Albany. And what's even more scary, when I was a police chief, it would take us years to try to get a bill passed that would help victims of domestic violence or DWI. It would take us years to get a bill passed to protect us. And what's gone on in the last 5 years is this, they're ramming these things through so fast, and it's like, this is the new politician, right? Unfortunately, I believe we've elected a lot of activists versus people that want to be public servants. A lot of people that are running for office. We have judges, okay, that are sitting in court that I believe got elected to promote their agenda. Mm-hmm. They're letting people every day in city court. We can see certain judges are just letting everybody out of jail. They're not holding anybody with a gun charge. And I believe that's just a personal agenda that they're bringing, that bias that they're bringing to the bench, that bias that these state legislators, and assembly people have. I personally believe they have biases. They got elected to push their agenda, and that's exactly what they're doing. And the other second case, most recently, October in Pittsburgh, we had Jasmine Adams, who was a victim of a murder-suicide. Her significant other, whatever what relationship was, did the murder-suicide. And what was disturbing about that case is, first of all, it's the month of October, which is National Domestic Violence Awareness Month, right? You can't make this stuff up when this. It's actually the month of October when we have this murder-suicide. The guy had been arrested a month before on an assault second, a felony charge against this poor victim. An order of protection gets issued. Order of protections are nothing. Papers doesn't stop bullets, And again, because of all the changes that have been made in bail reform, the guy couldn't be held at all. And so we end up with, Jasmine getting killed. And again, as I look back, I said, well, that would never happen back in the 90s. That would never happen in the 2000s. But here we sit here in 2023, and we have all these changes that have been made to the criminal justice system that have not been friendly to keeping us safe. It's not been friendly to the victims of crime. They clearly have all been one-sided, trying to help the bad people, right? The people that don't follow the morals, the laws of the land.
Well, the way I look at it, I kind of understand, not that I agree or disagree, but I kind of understand that this is like fire trucks and fire prevention. You want the schools to be safe, you want your homes to be safe, you have a certain amount of fire prevention, but then again, when there's a fire, you want somebody to come and take care of the fire. And when you don't give the police officers and the system the tools that they need to put out the fire, to take care of these things, to prevent this thing from happening again, you're going to get the same thing over and over again.
Yeah. And let me just be, I'm unleashed, okay? Yeah. This clearly is the agenda of the Democratic Party, right? And I'm just saying that, to be honest with you.
I told you to be unleashed. Go right ahead.
This all started when Cuomo took over, okay? Back in 2012, 2013. We started with shutting down, in the past decade, 26 state prisons have been shut down, closed, right? Mm-hmm. And we went from a prison population of 64,000, and now we're sitting here in 2023 with 47,000. We've released all these people. They have this idea that it's cheaper not to keep people incarcerated, put them back out in the community, and a lot of it they talk about the money. But the problem is you got innocent people that are being victimized. I guess it's cheaper to bury some people than to keep the bad guys off the street. And we now have, in the past couple of years, we got like 36 cop killers that have all been released on parole. Right? This whole thing about life in prison is really just kind of a fantasy at this point. As I think everybody at some point could get out of jail if the right politician has listened to them or their case. But this is what we've had, right? Since 2017, 36 cop killers have been released to jail. And this is the platform of the Democratic Party. And, you talk about that murder in Gates. We have an assemblyman that represents Gates. We have a senator that represents Gates. They have never come to Gates to talk about crime, the impact that crime is having on the little town of Gates. The number of guns that the Gates police officers have taken off the streets in a matter of 10 months, it's historic. The number of guns that they've taken off, the number of cars stolen in the town of Gates is historic. And nobody comes around to say hello or talk about it.
Well, that's going to lead us into our next topic coming after this break, because I want to start talking about what's happened with police activity and what you can do or can't do with youths.
Yeah,
remember that thing from my cousin Vinny, Utes. Yeah, Utes, what's going to happen with the Utes? Yeah, okay. We're all right after this, Utes. Yeah. Well, welcome back. You're listening to the No Nonsense Roundtable. We're here with Mr. Jim Vanbrederode. I think I like introducing you best as the former president of the Monroe County Police Chiefs Association, because you had to deal with a lot of different people. And from the last segment, we discovered that I have a real problem pronouncing the word youths. Plural. It all comes from my cousin Vinny. I remember that. But then again, I have that little bit of a New York accent anyway. So tell me what's happening here with these hijackings and stuff. I mean, the carjackings and I guess there's no, if you arrest a young person, there's no place to put them now, and sometimes you're pleading them for a misdemeanor rather than a felony because you can put them away. You can hold them with the misdemeanor. Tell me what is going on.
Yeah, so the history of that, it was around 2018. Again, I think Governor Cuomo was still in office then, and the issue was we don't want to put youth in a jail with fellow felons in the area and contaminate these kids, right? And then there's this whole issue that their brains aren't fully developed at that age, and so they're not really responsible for their actions. And so they made reforms to the juvenile justice system that really has gutted the whole process of being able to do anything with a youth. And specifically, but a lot of lies come out of Albany. Hard to believe, but a lot of lies come out. And we were promised all these resources that would be available, so that when a youth did get picked up by the police, we would be able to do something with them other than just take them home. But of course, what happens is it became no, there's nothing you can do. You arrest them and you literally just bring them home. Nothing came to aid us or to aid that youth to keep them out of reoffending. And so we literally have a revolving door system in the juvenile justice system right now. And one of the most horrific, sad, not horrific, probably one of the saddest moments is my last 6 months in office as the Gates Police Chief. And I think it was around 2021. This gentleman, Richard Shaw, 70 years old, from Iran, Kuwait. He's driving up Buell Road, which literally is across the street from the Greater Rochester International Airport, the gem of Rochester. And he's on this street near the airport. It's 11 o'clock. It's a beautiful sunny day. And these two kids, 15 years old, who have been going up and down the East Coast committing crimes because the system doesn't have anything that will... They just want taken off the street, right? But there's nothing in place anymore to go get these kids. And they target this gentleman, and they do a box in with their stolen car. They box him in, pull in front of him, and he locked the door, like anyone would do. And so they shot a gun through the front window of the car and killed him. And it was just two 15-year-old kids just out like a joyride, like it was a video game, and they took off, and then they actually came back past the crime scene a second time, like 80 miles an hour driving by. It just kids, you know what I mean? But what really highlighted what was wrong with the juvenile criminal justice system. That case is just one of many that we could talk about, where kids are not getting the attention, they're not getting the services that they need. When I talk to a lot of these nonprofit organizations that used to house or have programs for kids where you could live there, Hillside, the Center for Youth, a lot of these places, the beds are half empty. They're not being utilized. Really? Because judges can't do that. No, they can't. They can't say, "Look, I'm not going to put you in a secure detention facility, but we're going to put you over here at this quote halfway house for youth." And try to get you back on the narrow, and none of that is happening anymore. It literally is put them right back in that bad environment, that unsupervised environment, and just bring them home. And
well, it's got to feed on itself too. I mean, when somebody sees that there's no consequences to their behavior, they're more apt to have that same behavior, right?
Yeah, and there's a lot of conversations that aren't taking place, like this whole issue of parental supervision. One of the things I did before I got just on my way out as chief is I did a big press conference after I had a couple of youths with guns and this, and one youth was like 13 years old. He was like 5 miles away from his house. He rode his bike out the gates and committed a crime, and I had my officers arrest the parents, right, for endangering the welfare of a child, for failing to properly supervise them. Somehow I'm trying to get the attention of parents. You can't just say I didn't know where my kid was, right? It's a 21-year commitment when you have a child. It is your responsibility to work hard and to provide that supervision. And I realize not every parent can, there's issues where kids are just uncontrollable. But, again, that whole conversation still needs to happen about parents stepping up to the plate and being and supervising those kids.
So what happened to those two kids that killed that older gentleman?
Okay, so now because we've changed the law, they were placed into out here in Rush, right? We have the juvenile detention center out here.
Is that still going on?
It is, but look, it's nothing like jail, right? They're not in a holding cell. It's like a camp, right? You're all sleeping together, you all eat together, and at that time there was like 10 or 12 kids that were in there for murders. Okay, including the two kids that lit the gentleman on fire on Lyle Avenue. Remember when he burned him to death? Yeah. So these kids were all in there together, right? And I heard one story where a massive fight breaks out between all these kids, the murder suspects. I mean, there's just no control over any of this. And there was a lot of, Sheriff Baxter ended up having to send deputies to go work inside that facility temporarily to restore order, because there's no control inside the juvenile detention center. There's no way to keep them separate. It's inhumane today, apparently, if you put them in a holding cell. We don't want to do that. So that's the mentality of the Democratic Party.
So the ones that are committing the horrific crimes are there with the ones that are doing, felony shoplifting or something. Whatever. I mean, maybe I'm exaggerating a little bit.
They're not even there anymore.
But that's extraordinarily interesting. I mean, the ones that are committing murder should be in something a lot more secure than a luxury camp.
Yeah, and that was part of the big lie, right? Sheriff Baxter, by the way, who's a wonderful sheriff. Monroe County never put the 16 to 17-year-olds, because that used to be the age we could arrest them. Sheriff Baxter never put them in the same wing or holding area where the adults are, right? Where the big bad guys are.
Understandable.
He always kept them separate. So that was a lie to begin with. When you saw these politicians from downstate New York saying how we got kids sitting next to Bubba, who's a really bad guy, and he's going to teach him stuff, you know. That was all baloney, and. So this is where we're at. That whole system has totally been gutted, and it was interesting. I saw Senator Cooney on the news the other day about stolen cars, and he adamantly said we will never go back to putting kids back in jail. We will never go back to that. So there's the mentality that we're up against, and good luck.
In the meantime, all these problems are just creating more problems.
Yeah.
So what we have like a minute left. So what's in short? What's the answer?
Well, look at. And I'm just going to be honest with you. Until people vote differently, until you vote people in, here's the bottom line. The politicians set laws, set the policies, and next year, 2024, all those offices are up again. And I am not running for office, so I have no skin in the game other than I'm just being truthful with you. If you want to keep voting in these people that believe in this social justice stuff, then this is what you're going to get. Or you're going to have to vote for people that really believe in the victims first, your safety first, pro-law and order. And I'm not trying to be an extremist by any means. This is just common sense. And everyone's been saying the same thing. Sheriff Baxter, the Chiefs Association, our district attorneys, everyone's saying the same thing.
Well, with that, we're going to have to close another show out today. And I want to thank you for coming in. It's always good to see you, no matter what.
Fun to be here.
Yeah, well, it's great. It's great to have you. I want to remind everybody, December 4th and December 11th, we can see Jim play his
bagpipes.
Bagpipes, yes.
Christmas bagpipes.
Yes. Yeah, I almost said saxophone for some reason. I'm just crazy. But until next week, it's a No Nonsense Roundtable, 10 o'clock, right here on News Radio WHAM 1180.
Thanks for listening. Tune in every weekend from 10 to 11 on News Radio WHAM 1180. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll make more.